All right, here we go. Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. Happy Memorial Day, Veterans Day. Holy shit, I already jumped the gun on that. Veterans Day coming up on Tuesday. If anybody's lucky like me, they got today. Tomorrow's my NS. Tuesday's a holiday, so a nice 3-day weekend. Um, Starting to get a little chilly out in certain areas. I know where I live, it's getting a little chilly, and I know where my favorite guest in the whole world, Mailman Nick. What's going on, brother? All
It's
right.
cold out here. It's cold. It was rainy and cold yesterday.
Nick's gonna look like a lumber. He's gonna go lumberjack Nick, full lumberjack Nick. Once that true cold, you're gonna be frost marks breaking, coming down that beard of yours. I said it's definitely been less more forgiving over the last couple of years in Pennsylvania area. We haven't gotten the harsh, but I know you guys out in your way, Midwest, man, you guys take a beating.
Yeah,
Uh,
I turned into Eskimo Nick.
yeah, Eskimo Nick. That's it. I said, I mean, you guys got mattresses for the most part, right? No
Yeah,
snow
luckily,
chains, no
thank
snow.
God. They're
Yeah,
they're
so I
better
know
vehicles.
you can handle yourself out there and move along very very carefully. But you got all the goods out there in terms of door to door, in terms of you got some rough animals out there, you got some rough people out there. I
And
said
we're just talking about management.
we're just talking about, yeah, we haven't even gotten outside yet. Yeah, animals.
Every time I see a snake on the route, I'm like, management's following.
All right. So before we go further, of course, I have to say, hey, it's your boy Chooch, aka Matt the Mailman, and Nick and I are hoping to be a regular entity, possibly every Sunday. We're still working out a day to continually come on here, talk to carriers, talk to anybody about our daily trials and tribulations. Talk a little bit about food, of course, because Nick and I are the two biggest fans of food on the planet. I said, yes, yep. I said, we're just constantly feed me, feed me. So, we want to define this talk we're having as a title of Between the Routes. When I say between the routes, I said, two male carriers, both worked here a good amount of time. One from a different generation and one from an old generation. I said, but a work ethic that will rival the Amish. Nick is a beast, does these hours and just that just yep. Nick goes and like fights 5 dudes a week, and then he goes and delivers 60 hours, and then he goes and tackles 6 pizzas like on a weekend. Takes his woman out for a nice meal, and then starts all over again. Me, I basically shoot pool, take kids to a couple of things when I can. Try and be a dad about 3 hours a day, and then I'm back to trying to make sense of this whole world. So it's a good thing, and I know people are looking right now at me and saying, "Chooch, what is that around your neck?" All right, and so what I'm wearing here is my grandfather's. Now, my grandfather's. This is about 100 years old. My grandfather passed away. God bless him. I love him. That's my man who practically raised me. My grandfather Lou gave this to me when I was probably about, man, I said it was probably given to me like before I was like a teenager, because he had passed away when I was 12 years old, and so this has always been in my possession. And this is called the cornicello. Cornicello is something that we use to keep what's called the malocchio. The malocchio is the evil eye in the Italian culture, the evil eye that another person can give you, usually drawn by envy, jealousy, just to say, I wish harm on that person. So we use the cornicello as a superstitious, but I think it's real. I think it works. This amulet, this very precious thing to me that my grandfather left for me, and so it's very near and dear to my heart. And I'll wear it in more modern times than I did back in the day. I said, obviously, you see the Philly guy, I got my hair gelled up real good, but I'm a 45-year-old guy, so I'm just trying to keep youthful like Nick here. Nick has been sick over the last few days, and he still looks like $1 million. Look at him. I mean, he's peppy, he's
Appreciate that.
happy, he's up. He got up, and he's an hour behind me, so he's up, ready to roll. I just met his lovely lady for the first time on screen, and she was nice to come out and say hi. But she's like, "I'm going back to bed. See you." So good for her. All right. So listen, what we're gonna do here, when we're talking about between the routes, this weekly thing we want to do, and of course we got to have a tagline to go along with it. So tagline is that we're going to say each time is that for between the routes, it's where real carriers, we talk the truth about our expectations, about double standards, big thing in the post office,
A lot of double standards.
and the pride that keeps people like me and Nick going as tried and true mail carriers. So there you go. Truth, expectations, double standards, and pride that keeps us alive, keeps us going, and says, in the end, we're always going to win. We're always going to be beasts. So there you go. That's the start of something great, I hope. And of course, now we start off with a little Q&A. I'm going to hit Nick with a couple questions. Nick, I'm going to set a timer so we can just more or less keep moving from question to question. You do your best. I won't be hitting a buzzer or anything. I just tell you, that's, we'll move on, and I'll try and elaborate on your answers as we do this. Okay. So first question I'm going to ask you about personal conduct and professionalism. Okay. What does doing the job with decency and respect mean to you as a letter carrier? Go ahead.
It means no matter what, like you just said, I was sick all week, and I'm still showing up. I'm still respectful to my customers. I still treat them like they're my family. I still, I know I'm the eyes, or I'm the face of the post office. They're not seeing clerks. They're not seeing, if they go to the post office, but if they're on the street, they're seeing carriers. We're the face. They see us drive, and they see us always conduct yourself in a respectful manner, always, treat people like you would your family. And that's how I conduct myself. No matter how I'm feeling, if I'm sick, if I'm mad, I'll still say, hey, how you doing? It's Mailman Nick, what's good? I always carry myself, like that, even outside of work.
Spoken like a true carrier, and mirrors my exact answer that I would say, to say that I go in there, feeling like shit. Some days, you're coughing your lungs up. Some days, you could be having your own personal thing. But man, I said I can shut all that off and go out and do my job with pride and talk to my customers. And customers will say to me after 15 years, you never seem like you have a bad day. And they're like, you're like the jolly mailman. And I said, oh, trust me, I can be a miserable bastard when I'm not on the clock. But, I choose to stay professional and keep things going. And that's exactly how it'll always be for me, no matter how bad it is, no matter how bad a situation is in-house or away from work. I said it's so easy for me to go in and do the job with pride, dignity, and respect. So great answer. Great first question. All right. So next question. How do you balance working efficiently with treating the customers and your coworkers with kindness and respect?
Sometimes it's hard because, like, for example, in my office, there's carriers who have easy routes, and then my route's not so easy. And then if they want to keep talking, and I'm like, you don't want to like tell them off, like, hey, I got all these flats, and you got 3 flats in the case, and that's it. No shade on anybody, no shade on any of the cupcake out there. They earn their spot, but I still try to, keep a good relationship with my coworkers, and same with the people on my route. I'm nice and respectful, and I try to keep it that way. No matter who I'm talking to, even management, we'll get into that later. I try to be respectful because they'll just use it against you anyway. But I try to.
You say, here I come in with my competitive nature, and I say, yeah, you know what? Even when you try to talk respectfully, sometimes you still seem to be like you're a shithead. Like even when you're trying to say something like, "Yo, I'm just asking a question." There's no maliciousness to it whatsoever, but yet somehow, like, any dialogue could be stilted into believing, like, and it's like, we're going to use that against you. I'm like, go ahead, because I didn't say jack shit. I said it's all hearsay. But
they spin it.
What you said about coworkers and certain amounts of mail, and maybe the little cupcake routes compared to beasts routes. Again, I've told you enough to say I ain't ever given up my route. I love my route. You know why? Because it keeps me busy all day, and I don't want to have undertime, captured undertime. Very rare thing that ever comes across my desk, folks. I hear it every goddamn day. The word is always used, but Captured under time is not something that exists in my world. So, don't
It's
fall
fake
for it.
news. It's
Yeah.
fake news.
Fake freaking news, cuz very good. All right. Next question. Here we go. How do this is good for you. How do you keep your composure when dealing with rude customers or unfair management decisions?
It is very hard. And not just management. I had a guy yesterday, he was an Uber driver, and he's like, "Did you take this food on?" I'm like, "I just delivered to this house." He's like, "They complained they didn't get their food." I'm like, "I'm just delivering. Like, do you see food anywhere? I have packages." You just got to keep, I just know in the past, if I've said something and then I later regretted it, I always try to calm myself, like, okay, what I'm gonna say, am I gonna regret it later?
Mm.
And sometimes I just bite my tongue and I'm like, okay, I'm glad I did because that situation could have gotten ugly. Sometimes I've had to walk away from supervisors. I remember one time my postmaster took my lunch out and I'm like, why did you take my lunch out? And she
Mhm.
was like, you went over 10 hours, you went to penalty. And I'm like, so you're gonna just not give me, and I had to walk away. I'm like, okay,
Uh-huh.
I have to walk away because sometimes it's hard to bite your tongue. If I walk away, I'm gonna air it out to another coworker and be like, I hate this,
Yeah.
it's
All right, I go up to the desk and get the stapler so I can staple my mouth shut,
yeah,
essentially, because
that might help a little bit.
that was my hardest challenge, but I'm doing much better with that. And let me tell you
It's hard
something.
sometimes. It's
It
hard.
is. It is. It's human nature to say that if someone is busting your chops and there's no
Disrespecting
validity
you.
to it, yeah, there's a hair trigger that exists in all of us. And to say that if you don't want to have a reaction and you just say I don't give an f what they say, that means like you're not putting in enough care about your pride and dignity that you're doing in your job. You kind of just like expect it. So that's a bad thing. And by the way, the Uber thing, I'm gonna I'm I think
DoorDash, I meant DoorDash. That's what I meant. That's
DoorDash. I think it's sus because we know who you are, we know how you eat, so you might have eaten the food. I'm just
yeah. He was like
you are
Portillo's. I'm
sus.
like, oh, was that me?
You are sus at this point. So there might need to be an investigation done. I know you're all about. There goes the timer. Sorry. I know you're all about the truth, but I do know about your food habits too. So we gotta be careful when you see
I'm
them.
always a suspect when it comes
I
to food.
attempted to take a waffle fry out of an Uber Eats bag one time, and then they came walking. It was a Chick-fil-A bag, and I'm like, "Ooh, waffle fry," and I'm like, "Nah, I'll take it inside." Sometimes they
It's
just
always
leave
in
it
the back of
outside.
your head.
Yeah, the drivers leave it outside on a step, and I'm like, I mean, the door's open, it's not locked. Don't you walk in inside, and it's like, oh, it's set. The settings are set for leave at my door. But sometimes,
People will leave their food on their doorstep for a
yeah,
long time, and I'm like, if I'm ordering DoorDash, I'm eating it now. I'm
fucking
hungry.
yeah, for what? Yeah, for them the convenience fees and the tipping and stuff. Yeah, I want that
It'll
shit
be
as hot.
cold. I don't get people. I don't get.
You said there's different standards for food expectations. Ours are set like right about here.
Yeah,
So
we're
that's
Italian.
that was a good one. That was a good one. So all right. So we knocked out a couple of carry questions. Now we'll do a little combination questions about union and carriers in our current state. Okay, so in terms of union presence and effectiveness, this is a big one, and we got things happening, and we have a great divide happening among the candidates. You have Renfro out there doing his thing. He's politicking like mad right now. He's trying to create like a secondary food drive for the people that aren't getting the SNAP benefits now. And it's like, okay, dude, just like you were too little, too late in everything you did with the contract. Now you're
All
trying.
photo ops. All
Yeah,
photo ops.
yeah, exactly. It's window. It's like lace curtain stuff. I can see right through that shit.
There's
So
elections coming up. Typical politician.
yeah, and I said, but it's like, man, when you're on Insta, I'm on Insta, and you see that NALC letter carrier thing come on, and he's talking, and you see people in the room, and I'm like, do those people really feel intrigued by what he's saying? Do people like just get invited to something and just say like, well, there was some free donuts there, so I went,
Yeah,
like.
exactly. He's like, oh yeah, we got some.
Yo, there's some Chicago pizza up in this
Yeah.
convention. Let's go. But I don't know, man. I don't. And then, I have to comment about the continuous CLC messages that keep getting put out by carriers who are told to put on a winter hat that says CLC and the jacket that says CLC, and then read like very like if if you've seen the second Star Wars, like the Attack of the Clones, the acting in that was described as very wooden and very still, like very just like, it wasn't like the original ones, to say that people were like, I am here to save you. I am from branch 243 from New York, and
Right.
I think
Robots.
and I
Robots.
think James Henry and Corey Walton. I'm like, yo, you guys got to rehearse this shit a few times and try and get the stick out of here and make
I
it
see
sound.
videos.
It's like, like Nick, with Nick, I know the first take is the best take. Nick will cough and sneeze and he'll just keep going on with
I
it.
don't do I don't do two takes.
Yeah, but I said you go right back into saying what you're saying, and you
Yeah.
sound genuine, and clearly you're doing the job every day like a madman. So I said, for me, like I said, whatever comes out of my freaking gaping hole all the time when I'm saying what I'm saying, believe me, I ain't rehearsing anything. I'm saying it as tried and true as a character who cares about his future does. So there's no rehearsals. There's no, I have a few questions lined up. I don't even think to answer them until we actually are asking each other this. That's
Right.
the realness of it all. That shit where like they literally look like they're looking at a cue card about 60 yards over this way. And I'm like, listen, I know not everybody is fully camera prepared, and some people are very camera shy, but
Yeah.
all they're doing is saying, like, all you're doing is saying a quick message. So if you're going to say it CLC, you better do it two takes.
Yeah, and it's just got to be organic, and it's got to be like, and it's relatable. If you like my videos, I like you said, I don't do two takes. I will say some stupid shit, and like I would just like fumble my words, and then just like, all right, whatever. I'm human. We're all. That's how most people. Nobody is perfect. If somebody is a very good speaker, even they mess up. So
Sure.
like, I don't stress about if I say if I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, why'd I say that, or it's just
exactly.
it happens.
Exactly.
We're
Exactly.
people.
So,
We're not
and
robots.
slowly but surely, you say, what can I do different? What can I do better? But when all said and done, you said, human beings, and without rehearsals, and to say that it feels comfortable talking to somebody, especially like you and Jay, like make it so organic. It's very organic,
Real
it's very
people. Real
natural, and
people.
it's very real. So that's the kind of people I always want to talk to. So good on you for that. All right. So union presence and effectiveness. Question one. All right. How do you feel about the union's presence in your station right now? Do you think we're as strong and active as we should be?
So in my station,
Be honest.
so we had a for the longest time we had a union rep from another office. So he wasn't really involved as much as we would like. But now we have two Lois and Tiara. They are very headhunters as far as management goes. They're very petty, and I'm like, that's who I want. So now I have kind of a stronger presence in my office as far as union representation because they see it.
Yeah.
They'll like she'll be my supervisor will be harassing a carrier, and she'll be like, why is she harassing you? And then she'll back up. It's nice to have that presence to know like she second guesses my supervisor. Oh, maybe I shouldn't harass this carrier. Maybe I should back off because I don't want to deal with that grievance, and they'll just go home and get paid for it, and I don't want to deal with that. So
Nice.
we had to deal with that last week or 2 weeks ago. The cops got called because the supervisor's harassing a carrier, and then they got into it.
Unbelievable.
But we can go on and on about management.
Oh,
But my union,
shout out to Lois and Tiara for
yeah,
being the real deal and stepping in. That's
they
that's
work very hard. Yeah,
That's what you need. I can also say that my local has done good work. I also can say that sometimes I feel like there might be too much of a civility and a camaraderie between certain entities on both sides, and I just can't. As somebody who carries in a station every day, who sees the things every day, as opposed to somebody who's not in the station every day but is part of the union, that is sent in sometimes to defend, even in the case where yours truly has to have somebody to defend him, even though that he is the guy trying to defend others. It's just to say that we're at a low point. We're at a low point, and I wish that I could convey to more people that it could all be so simple by just doing very simple things, that I say all the time, brother. I say all the time, I said, you got the lunch sign up sheet, so you work through it. We don't have that. So what do? You take your lunch, right? Oh
Exactly.
no, he said, no, we give that time back because we got to be somewhere, or we just don't feel like taking a lunch. And so, okay,
No,
there you go,
can't do it.
management. Time back, time back. Bad.
Give it, still take a mile every
Yep,
time.
exactly. And it's like, yours truly just will not give 1 second of time back. And that's all it is. That's basically the basis of all BS that I have to deal with at this current moment. Never had a problem in 19 years of service. Clean as can be.
Until recently, it's gotten bad recently.
Yeah, yeah. So you said you got 5 years, and you have already like built up this, this wonderful thing that you do, and you talk about outside things and outside interests. You talk about your MMA days, you talk about the club days, but you say you're so involved in this. You want to be involved in the union. You want to, praise people that do good work, and you also want to say that I'm not going to sit there and just, take a bunch of bullshit and just like accept that as a culture of, well, that's just the post office. Like, you want to see it change, I want to see it change. We want to believe that one of those particular gentlemen running for president wants to see that change, and he ain't all talk. So
Yeah,
that's a huge
I've
thing.
seen it. I've seen the work done. I've seen it.
Yes, and like I said, we can all do better. We can all do better, but they said when it comes to who needs to do much better, we know who that is.
Yeah,
So that's the third topic. All right. So second question. Second question. Let me see. This is a pretty strong one here. So when was the last time you saw the union step in and make a real difference for someone in your station or in your realm?
So this was actually a very big win for our union. It was actually for the whole office because my vice president got so my postmaster was harassing carriers. She's very combative. They got her to where she couldn't talk. She can't. She's in the office. She can't talk to us carriers for 6 months. Well, it
Wow.
was originally, I think, a year, and then they added another 6 months because we had an arbitration. They interviewed a bunch of carriers, her team, her union, I guess, and then there was our union, and my union got her to not. So she has to go through her supervisors. She can't directly talk to
Wow.
carriers. She'll get in trouble.
18 months of non-communication, direct communication.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
that was a huge win, and that's one thing that
Absolutely.
comes to mind because I just wish it was another supervisor. It always goes back to supervisors, but
I hear you, man. I hear you.
at the end of the day, that was a good thing for the union. John, he's come on my show before. He's my union vice president, branch 4016. Him and Patrice got that done, and they're very good people too. So that was one big thing that they did for everybody. It wasn't just one particular person that was their grievance or whatever, but it helped the whole office because it was a very hostile work environment, more so at that time.
Gotcha. Now, when you said you got cops coming in to break up fights and stuff, I mean that's nasty.
I've seen cops like that's the thing. Like there's been fights on the workroom floor, multiple, go back and forth. Police get called all the time, and it's just like, oh, that's just what it is now. I'm not even. I'm like, oh, the cops are out front. All right, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go load truck feature on my packages now. It's just another day.
Yeah, this is our I guess couple hundred miles of separation of states and where we're at, and I'm on more of a suburbia thing for all my time here, but I'm very close to Philly, and Philly I know is a shit show. And then SNDCs are forming in places, and like obviously offices in the Philly suburbs are much smaller and more mom and pop shop, but it doesn't negate them from having problematic situations and all the things like that you and I have talked about off camera, and that things that I just said. It's so easy for me to wake up and do the job every day. It's so easy for me to go out in the street. I don't care what's going on in my life. I said it's a very, very it's a reflex, and it's always to say once I get out away from those people and get on the street, I said
It's a habit. It's a habit.
it's the best job in the world. But when you have to have situations unfold simply because you're doing your job right, and like you said, I don't want to throw shade on anybody else to say that people need to learn after a certain amount of time. This is what you do, and this is what you do not do. When it comes to time, time is everything in there. Management's all about time, and the carrier more or less has to, maintain a time. And, of course, the first thing that goes through management's head is you're all time wasters. You're all doing something. You're all sniveling weasels out there doing something. I'm like, no, I said, you're
no set time. No set time.
Yeah, I said, you guys seem to not really utilize a lot of your time that you get paid for once we disappear from the office. I said, unless, you're told to come around and spy on us and stuff, which I said, go right ahead, spy on me all you want. All you're going to see is a guy doing hard work. So,
exactly. So they might be shocked, like, oh, that they're not used to that hard work.
Yeah. I said, wow, he's actually working out there. And I'm like, yeah,
exactly. But then they harass those carriers. But then the ones that call off, that are the reason why we have to work so hard, that we're the pieces of crap. But then like the ones who call off all the time, they're like, oh, that's just Joey. He calls off all the
time. Oh man. I said, yeah, when you say it like that, yeah, it makes it, it just, it's reminiscent of 20 years of just, seeing different personalities and people just doing things that you're like, so that's how that's dealt with, and this is how I'm dealt with.
Right. I had a supervisor tell me they pick favorites and they go after certain people because my nighttime supervisor is like, why are they attacking you? And I'm like, I have no idea. I work the hardest. I never say no when they ask me to go help somebody.
Yep.
They have favorites. It's like a high school.
I'll say this to say, like, they can quickly realize to say who can achieve this assignment in a reasonable time that I know won't dick around out there. And they're going to say, Nick, Chooch, so, and who knows all the routes, who knows all the ins and outs of who's going to attempt the certified and not scan the package and bring it back and say there was a dog out or something like that. Nick, Chooch, I said, so that having the idea that you're reliable also makes you a shithead. Like,
exactly. They put the pressure on you, and then you slack off just a little bit, then all of a sudden you're
oh man. I said, that's the thing, I said, to say that, like, we're defining slacking off a little bit is saying, yo, I'm freaking tired, man. I ain't going to go out there and be able to do what that nonsensical paper says every day. I am going to be able to only do what this body and this brain and these legs can only do. So like I said, there's no set standards, all that, but I don't even like to reference that part of like the M41 and the M39 to say, like, there's no street standards, so they can't say anything. It's just like, wake the hell up and realize that, we're doing everything that we can do within the means of being a human being who ages, who deals with sickness, who deals with loss, who deals with, and again, it's like, you're sitting there in that same 10-foot radius all day, judging from afar, unless you come out there. And I say it all the time, please spy on me. Please come find me. I'm right here.
Right.
I'm like,
I need some company on the route, but it's all about what have you done for me lately?
Because there you go.
The other day, my supervisor was like, was trying to send somebody else out to help a new CC, and she was like, no, send Nick. He's more, because my postmaster can't talk to us. She's like, send Nick out. He's more experienced. I'm like, okay, I have some respect. And then the next day, why were you out so late? And I'm like, what? You told me to.
Yeah. If you're in the fourth quarter, what do you want, your rookie going in, or you want your if you have veteran quarterback in there,
Exactly.
You don't want to put Jameis Winston in. You want to put Caleb.
I'm Brady in there. Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. All right. I was about to say I was about to use
you want the push, let's go. Let's get
yeah, no, I said I wore this one that I said I just got a new hoodie that has a Darth Vader on it and the Eagles, and it says, and he's got his hand out and it says beware the brotherly shove or something like that. And I said everybody can't stand the brother, and we're playing Green Bay tomorrow, by the way, which of course we're the biggest voice in saying they got to end the tush push. You guys got to end the tush push. I'm like, yeah, because you can't stop it, you big babies.
The Eagles are playing the Packers.
Monday Night Football, baby.
Okay, they better smash them. I hate the Packers.
Damn right. Fucking cheeseheads.
Bear down. I hate
There you go. I knew you would. I knew you would. All right, let's do one more question about union presence and effectiveness, and then we'll save management questions for last, like we knew we would. All right. Do you feel like that the union has adapted well to the current changes the carriers face, like route adjustments, discipline, scanner data issues? Go through each one. Do you feel like that they've adapted well to carriers to the challenge? Like first, route adjustments. Where are you guys at with route adjustments and how they've dealt with it, or if anything has happened?
We haven't had any type of. We've been walked and we've been,
Had your 99 walks, right?
yeah, we've been walked, but we haven't had any.
Adjustment.
No routes have been cut. Because there are like maybe one or two routes that are a little, could be added on, but
Yeah.
all the it takes 8 hours.
Yeah.
So we haven't had any type of where we're worried about a route getting cut or something like that. We haven't had that worry yet.
Gotcha. Okay. That's a good. All right. So that's,
Luckily.
yeah. Okay. So, all right. Now, discipline. How hardcore is discipline compared to maybe when you start?
As far as like defending it or
Like adapting to, say that how well has the union been in terms of dealing with disciplinary stuff? You did more or less like say that your two ladies are like right on it and dealing with everything, but to say like, have you seen anything to say that it's a little bit it takes a little longer, or people aren't like right on the ball like they used to be, or is it
Yeah,
just
it's when I started, we had two good guys. They stepped down because of my postmaster. They were filing grievance every week, and then it kind of fell off. Like I said, we had Thaddeus who was working out of South Holland,
yeah,
and
I remember you mentioning.
yeah, and he's not in our office, so he's not seeing it. He has his own office to worry about. He's trying to be a Form A, and now he is one of our trustees. And then now we got Lois. Well, but say before when Thaddeus was our union rep, he got so the situation real quick. A carrier quit. He was a regular. Carrier bid on his route and won, and then he came back and they gave him back the route. So every day that she wasn't on the route that she won the bid when he came back, she got paid. So she won like 11 grand.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
but a lot of that stuff takes a long time. Like I'm
Sure,
filing.
sure. Oh, it drags on like it's like an entire baseball season. Sometimes too, like to the end of that shit.
It'll be months, and they're like that grievance. Remember that grievance back in Halloween? It's you're getting paid this week, and I'm like, it's my
Yeah.
birthday June. What the heck? I totally
Yeah,
forgot about it.
yeah, we're going to Vegas, baby. Let's go. Yeah.
But I guess they go through the process, and management most likely sends it up, or or most of the time gets sent up. They don't agree. Management never agrees.
Oh
So
no, no, no. Yeah, I said yeah. It always has to go to formal, and yeah, it's and again, these were terminologies that were like non-existent for almost 2 decades. Like there was nothing going on. The carriers had and I'm not sitting there and saying like the carriers were shielded, for but in some cases, I would say that maybe like that was the case, or it was just that a postmaster was allowed to run their own station and not be under the evil hammer of the district manager who's saying do this, do this, do this, and if you oppose me, I'll deal with you. And it's like, how could you possibly feel that when we hear, if you've heard one of those telecons be played out loud, that wasn't supposed to be played out loud, and you're like, oh my God, listen to these fucking sociopaths talk
right,
about how they're supposed to be treating us, human beings who work through COVID, who are out there in the freezing cold.
government shutdown.
Yeah, government shutdown. Yeah. Oh man, the list just grows and grows each day. So it's just to say that how am I to respect you standing in front of me? Seemingly respecting me as a person, but as an employee who doesn't match your performance of what you want out of me. You're gonna shit on me. You're gonna twist it. You're gonna twist a knife into me. You're gonna try and trigger something out of me to say that like
They're trained to do that. They're
yeah.
trained to like provoke you, and then like, oh, they're insubordinate. I see it. They try to harass people, and then when carriers lash back out, which my coworkers aren't the best at biting their tongue. They're very, they're
Yeah, it sounds
also
like it.
very.
Yeah. So Nick is the calm one in the situation. Put
I
that in
actually am a
perspective.
lot of the time. I
Yeah.
actually am,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
have a lot of carriers who say exactly what is on their mind, and then you hear yelling, and you're like, here. Carriers make a joke of it. They're like, here we go, and they're just arguing back and forth between
Yeah.
carriers.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is a normal work environment for it's been. But to go back to the point of how things are different, I had a carrier tell me back before my postmaster and stuff. Him and the supervisor had an understanding, like, hey, this is wrong, fix it, and then they fixed it.
Yes.
It was a completely different environment from what I was told. They
Right.
said you got hired during COVID, everything is turned into a shit show, and now it's kind of just the norm. Now the shit show is the norm.
Good way of putting it. Yeah, I guess you could say if there's a starting point for it, COVID was a starting point, and also work ethics got diminished. Uh,
Yeah,
and doing this 99% of the day, even like while people are driving their vehicles and at their cases, and I'm like, yo, you're at fucking work. I said, you're allowed to check, but if you're just like, I mean, I'll see a clerk phone to the ear in one hand and pushing equipment with the other hand. And I'm like, hello. But sometimes it's always Joey Carrier that's always dealing with the shit. And you see and you see this over here happen, you see this over here, and I'm like, but I'm seemingly doing the work right, but yet somehow all eyes on me.
exactly.
Yeah.
They overlook that stuff, but the
very
people
strange.
they don't like, yeah, strange.
Unreal sometimes, like we're in the fucking twilight zone. But all right, so we saved the best for last. Now we ask management questions. Let's talk about. Don't treat me like a 204B over here. All right.
Yeah.
So, what do you think management okay, excuse me. Why do you think management tends to have the upper hand in enforcing procedures and discipline? And what can we do as carriers to balance that?
It's hard because they have the upper hand because they know a lot of the rules more than carriers do. It seems like too, because they've been taught like, hey, do this, get this carrier to act out of character, and then you could send them home or do this or that. Like they manipulate people.
Oh, good word. Good word.
Yeah.
Manipulation and intimidation. Yeah,
they're very good at that.
So what do we do as carriers to balance that?
Learn your rights, like watch podcasts like Chooch's, mine, Jay's, and just see like there's still stuff I don't know. Like I don't have the handbook and all the stuff memorized. If I deal with something like, hey, we deal with this grievance, I'll talk about it and be like, hey, this is did you know that you could do this? Did you know you could file on this? This is against the contract? When I learn stuff, I try to make a video about it. So always be learning, always ask questions. If you're not sure, if you're like, hey, I'm coming on my holiday, am I supposed to get time and a half? Like always ask questions to improve your knowledge, because management will take your naiveness and you abuse it and use it against you, or not pay you, or or whatever the case may be. They're self-serving in their own interests. So
that is a great answer. Definitely the highlight of any question. And go figure, we're on the management questions, and
I could talk about it all day. I try not to say names or nothing, but it's just what I see.
Again, I jump in to say exactly that. What do we do to balance it? And it's to say M41 and M39. You can't memorize the whole goddamn thing, but you got to know the bare essentials. You got to know that if management takes one of those books and skews the dialogue and tries to get you to believe that somehow something that as an experienced carrier exists, to say it does not say that. So that is essentially what's called a full out lie, and you have to go and report that and pull out the book and say, you see, it says right, or you could say, show me where exactly in the book it says that, and would you be willing to put it in writing that it says that? And then all of a sudden it'll be like poof, like fucking Houdini, disappear, going. So
they'll do it in pre-Ds too, like they'll word stuff like, this is wrong, do you agree? Or like they'll word it
the wording process of a PDI or a letter of, or I mean, it's so disgraceful how
Yeah.
some and here's a little bit of a 2025 observation for how union and old school, and like I said in my video last night, I cursed the old school union for saying that in 2025, in a world of video, audio, depositions where you see some of the most famous people that are involved in lawsuits being recorded, it's on YouTube for everyone to see. You have voice messages, everything that you can get on somebody in the highest of legal manner. But yet in this post office, pen and paper, no audio, no visual, just what's in there, what's hearsay. And so, what do you think that means in terms of how something moves along the disciplinary status? And most of the time, a carrier keeps his job, even sometimes when they probably don't deserve to. It's to say, well, management screwed up on this part, on what they said. The employee might have screwed up on what they said, but management screwed up just a little bit worse on what they said. And it's like, there's the piece of paper, there's the pen, and I'm like, where are the computers? Where is the audio and visual that should be part of this process to say, if you said something and it was missed on that paper, we have it on an audio feed, we have it on some sort of little recording device, but the post office and the union don't agree to it. And I
I
think,
don't know why they don't do that. If a
yeah,
PDI just have a video recording and audio recording, so because my like union rep will write stuff down and then management will
yep,
do their stuff, and I'm like, what if they just said something wrong? And they're like,
right.
no, they said this. Like, so that I don't understand that, but maybe there's some legal
Oh,
reasons. I don't know.
yeah, well, of course, we have our social media policy that says that, you can't record in the truck, you can't be
Yeah,
dancing in the trucks, and it's like,
in the
what do you see
uniform.
when you put on TikTok, Nick? He said, I
All
see.
everything. As soon as I open TikTok, it's somebody at their case making a
Here, Nick. Here,
TikTok, and I'm
let me give you a little example here.
yeah,
Yeah. I
the
mean,
dancing.
what?
That's all I see. I'm just
All
like,
right.
Jesus.
And I don't think that our employees are 17, 18, maybe 22 years old doing this. I see grown
Right.
ass people thinking that somehow it's okay to do that because you're saying, oh, it's 2025 and it's work. And, it's like we're just trying to loosen things up a little bit and have a little bit of, and I'm like, I see management in those videos sometimes too. And I'm like, yo, yous are all fucked and you should be fucked once
Right.
whoever monitors this stuff gets a look at it. See,
Exactly.
we do our usual disclaimer, and we have it in our we know to be doing this in our homes on our own time,
Exactly. Not on the clock,
not
stealing
on the clock.
time. No.
Yes, yes, it's so simple, but yet it keeps happening day in and day out. Like
And it makes it look bad too, because
oh,
my office, I have issues with my office because people were washing checks and there's still that happening. And
I
then
remember you
they're getting
saying
their mail late because nobody shows up. And then, people see on TikTok, that's why I'm getting my mail at 7 o'clock at night. No, it's just it gives us a bad look.
yes, yeah, no,
It
100%.
have fun, but be professional. Just be professional because it makes it look like just they hire
I,
anybody.
like we have a group of carriers that we are part of this great chat group with that constantly are sending us things, and some of them are AI, and some of them are very laughable, some of them are very comical. But then I'm like, wait a minute, please tell me that's AI what I'm seeing right now. And they're like, no, that's real. And I'm like, oh fuck. I said, like somebody's like spinning around in a hamper or inside the hamper or on a knocker, and I'm like, yo, post office, I know you're seeing these things. OIG, whoever is monitoring stuff. I said, I don't know if you guys got to build cases and like eventually get around to dealing with this stuff, but man, this shit is prevalent and it looks like it's been going on since COVID.
If
So,
that was you and me in a hamper doing cartwheels
oh
and
my
fucking,
God.
we would be a prison sentence. They would be
Yes,
like, Mailman Nick is going 5 years minimum, slapping the book in.
that's
But they're
right.
like, oh no, that's little Timmy. He calls off all the time. He
Yeah.
just let him do his thing
Yeah,
because
Chooch is going to be met in the showers by a couple of bad boys. Just because he made a little video. Yeah, I yeah, I said sometimes you go down the ramp and you hang on to the hamper and maybe you roll freely for a minute.
yeah.
I said I stopped doing anything that could be construed as like don't do that. Here's another thing, and I'm gonna say this for the sake of saying that I see it. I used to do it, and I'm never doing it again. rolling two hampers down the ramp going into the parking lot, one in front of you and one behind you. Bad move, folks. I know you want to save that. I know you want to save that time. I know you want to, like, not make that second trip, but you fall down, you twist an ankle, and they say, "What were you doing?" Oh, you were moving too. And let me tell you something. It happens day in and day out. I still see it. And it's like management knows that that's saving time. So they would rather say, well, at the risk of them getting hurt, I would rather see them save time by taking two hampers down a ramp. Or they'll, like, just say, I never saw that happen. And I'm like, yeah, right. You didn't see it happen. I said, it's right in front of you. So that's another doozy right there. All right. Next question. Here we go. All right. Do you think the grievance process feels fair and timely, or does it often work in management's favor? That's kind of
it definitely works in management's favor. Management wants you to, like, for example, some grievances, there's a time limit, so they kind of string it along. And there was with my grievance, for example, or not my grievance, but my discipline, my union was, my grievance, my union was grieving it, and they were like, "Can you sign this?" And they took forever to sign it, so because they were gonna try to get me lesser time for the probation or whatever it is for the discipline. And then she ended up setting it up because management was taking the time to sign it. They probably hoping that I would get a year instead of 9 months. So they bank on you just BSing. Time is in their favor, not our favor.
True. Yep.
So
it's exactly how it goes, and I said, so, follows into the next question. What protections do you think we're missing right now that could level the playing field between carriers and management? What is the big missing piece? I got one, but I want to hear if you got one.
Missing piece for carriers. I feel we are pretty protected for the most part. If management's harassing us, we could just say they're harassing, or I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, I'll tell you where I'm at with that. To say what we're missing with this Stone Age system of paper and pen, and like I said, that's the one thing to say, that there should be some audio and video to capture every last word uttered in that thing. Say, like, the Japanese their workers are watched daily on camera to say that why do you think they're such a productive country? Because they're Big Brother. Do they feel violated? Like, in some cases, yeah. Well, I said, if I was butt naked or something like that and they were watching that part of my life, I'd be like, no. But they're watching workers do work. If you stuck a camera in a post office when the carriers left for the street, what do you think the Japanese would do to the majority of people that were in the building? I'm talking about inside workers, management, clerks, custodians. What do you think? How long do you think of a lifeline would they have if the idea was, we see no production, this is what's going to happen to you?
There would be nobody working. We would have no.
There you go. That's about it. So what I think we're missing, and the main thing that I believe that that Mike Cariff and that even that Corey Walton and James Henry are talking about, and Renfro might bring it up, but I just don't believe a word the guy says, is that we need, at the moment a violation occurs, to be able to nip it in the bud and stop it from occurring. The whole follow the order and then grieve it after is dead to me. I
hate that. Yeah.
It's so nonsensical that in 2025, after this union's existence for so many years and a backlog of thousands of grievances just sitting there, stacking up, piling up, and like nobody seemingly wanting to be union stewards because they know how frustrating it is, to say that if we can't nip a violation in the bud as it's happening and get management to back the hell off and know the rules and not try to make up a lie and then say, okay, well, no, I just have to follow the order and then deal with it after. With that shit needs to end. If I can put one continuous message out to those union guys, that to Mike Cariff, to James Henry, to I'll say Renfro, but I don't even want him in the equation.
No.
If you guys are going to keep agreeing to say that we have no power to stop a violation that's clear as day and just have to carry out the whole grievance process, fill it out, then wait for the 14 days. I said, I mean, how much more nonsensical and ridiculous and dragged out and frustrating can it be? Like, that's it.
That's one of the main gripes of my office where carriers who aren't on the overtime list, overtime carriers are not working 12 hours and they're getting mandated double case. And
Boom.
then under oh, you have undertime. That's your undertime. You casing up another route. Like, no, it's not. And if they were able to just nip that in the butt right there, they have to follow orders, and it sucks because they don't. Especially on like Halloween, people have kids and they're working till 6, and I'm not getting maxed out. That overtime should be coming to me. That should be coming, whoever is on the overtime list. So why do we have to wait to? Management knows that. They're like, well, I'll handle this situation, then deal with it later.
Yeah. It's it. Well, again, I feel like everybody that has been there for a long time, like me, that's been there for a long time, to say that seniority doesn't mean as much as it used to be. I'm second on the list, and I thought to myself 10 years ago, man, it's great to be in the top 10. Like, I'm finally getting up there. I said, basically, for your vacation picks, obviously that gives you first and second dibs on your best vacation. But I'm not in a huge office, so there's plenty of good times available. In the bigger offices, maybe seniority helps a little more in that factor. But like I said, I don't look for any preferential treatment because I've been there for so long. I want just a fair treatment across the board to say that, I don't need pats on the back to say I've been here this long. I don't use that line. I've been here, so I know better than you, youngster. I'm not like that at all. I just said I want to see a fair and equitable distribution of work. And
no bias.
Yeah,
no bias.
Exactly.
There's CCAs that easier routes than me. They've been here a few months or a year or 2 years. PTFs, they're getting all the drive, and they're like, Nick, you're gonna go.
Oh yeah, you're gonna go hoof it for 16 miles. Yeah.
You're gonna walk. I know you have the Stairmaster route, but go do 6 relays on 19. And like yesterday, I had to do 6 relays. I've been walking all day. My knee's killing me, but they'll see. If I get injured, they're gonna miss me. So I mean, that's gonna be their loss.
There you go. Good answers, brother. Good answers. All right, maybe 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. All right. I'm trying to pick from a particular few here. Let me see. And what would you do? All right. Here's one. Have you ever felt pressured to just go along with something management said, even if it didn't seem right? And how could the union better support us in those moments where?
Yeah. So there's been multiple situations, especially when I was CCA, that I don't want to say on camera, but I went along with management.
I'll give you an example. Just scan those packages attempted, or scan them like no access. Would you? You've been
right. Hypothetically, if that happened, if we had to scan something, where if a clerk scanned a bunch of packages for the next day, and we had to deliver the day of when they're supposed to be for the next day, and we got to go out and do that. Just you do as you're told because you don't want to get in trouble with supervisors.
Following the order, but then I'm immediately calling my union and saying there's been a major violation and a falsification of scans.
Right.
So I want it dealt with because I don't want to be anywhere near a place that does that. And if I'm to give
integrity issues,
if I'm to give a commendation to my management where it just sounds like I'm just doing the opposite and saying nasty things, is to say that we move all our mail. Hi, bud. You all right? You want to come say hi to Nick? Come on.
Going on, Nick.
Your buddy has to come say hi to you real quick. All right. Who's that? Yeah, that's right.
On, buddy.
There he is. And he said, no Eagles tomorrow night, right? Let's go.
Yeah, I saw you at the Eagles game. I saw you Halloween.
Right? Where'd you go yesterday?
On the Flyers.
He saw the Flyers losing overtime. He went to his first with his grandfather. Yeah,
still a fun game.
Sixers coming up soon. There you go. Yeah, he wanted to say hi to you, of course. All right. Well, I'm going to finish up. I'll be up in a few. All right. The greatest. For sport madness now. He wants to watch every minute of every game, and I'm like, even I don't feel like watching the Sixers tonight, but I guess I want to catch up on some rest, you know. And he's like, "Come on, Daddy, let's watch the game." I'm like, "All right, we'll watch the game."
Kids love every sport. I loved every sport as a
Oh
kid.
no, I said, you know me, we're wired that way. I said, growing up where we grew up, we're wired that way. So all right. So, and in terms of all those three subjects we covered, to say that what I wanted to end with saying is that my my commentaries, my opinions, my thoughts on the whole situation to me is to say that to mirror what I said last night in my own video, like I have no maliciousness towards any human being whatsoever. I have no manipulation skills in me. I have no reason to be dishonest or lie or swindle or do anything of that nature to try and make myself be propped up on a pedestal while saying you people are going to feel my wrath if you don't treat me better. It's like
we're trying to work together and make shit work. The boat float.
Exactly. It should all be so damn simple as to say that if there is a problematic person, a group of problematic people, take them aside and deal with them. Stop communalizing the problem all the time. Stop pitting people against each other by putting a mystery of who are they talking about when they say this? Is it me? Is it them? Like this is this spin doctor, just deviant method. And he's right, it's taught. And we know it's taught, and we have references from certain people that we know that are very, very knowledgeable in these fields and are around these realms to say that this is what they are taught. The carrier is the enemy. I have heard a supervisor flat out say it to me in the past, long time ago. We are told that the carrier is the enemy, and I'm like, well, you suck. So if you take that job, knowing that you're sent in to be a head basher, and to manipulate and do that to people, then that's why it's very hard for me to say I respect the position of management, because
I respect authority.
Yeah, I love being a carrier. I'll always be a carrier. Even if you sawed the fucking legs out from under me and I had to walk on my hands, I'd still say I want to carry mail. Like that's how much that means to me. So, you want to close out with saying something in that realm or whatever you got? Go right ahead, brother. Floor is yours.
Yeah, one thing about the management thing, at the very least, don't bring it to the workroom floor, because it's just embarrassing. It's just cringy that there's fights happening in the workroom. Instead of saying, "Hey, let's handle this in the supervisor's office," but no, they want to be like, "Don't talk to me like that," and they're like, "Want to take this outside?" It's just It's not needed. Just handle it over a conversation. We don't need to be fighting. We're just trying to get the mail delivered. Every time I hear yelling, I'm like, oh, another drop route's coming. We got 2 hours. We got 3 hours.
It's not like there's a handshake and we move on and we're all happy and going to have a great day. It's like, fuck, now I'm going to work more.
Right. It's like we're battling and I'm like, why? We're all here. Let's get the job done. Let's stop butting heads and just get the job done. And we deal with each other for what? An hour and a half? I hit the 9:30, 10. I start at 8. We don't need to be butting heads. I try to keep my with management, I try to keep my interaction with them at a very minimum.
That's the only way to be. I said, why, and here's the thing about carriers that believe they have a camaraderie with management and like have, daily conversations, maybe because their cases are close to management as to where I'm as far as you can be. And thank God. It's just to say that like, that in itself sets up the double standard viewpoint and optics that you have as a carrier to say, oh, so if I discuss my weekend and my plans to go to Hershey Park or whatever, to say like, oh, and what did you do with your? I'm just like, no, I don't have time for that shit. I barely talk in the office because I have a heavy fucking route that needs a carrier out there delivering it for an average of 7 to 8 hours just on the street.
And it takes a lot of mental power to remember 4 words, to remember, where there's dog crap in somebody's lawn. It takes a lot of mental power, and people don't realize that. Yes. But You're looking finger in mail. You're worried about dogs. There's a lot. Your mind is constantly going.
Yeah,
So
you win. You definitely win the battle in terms of what you see on the ground, on ground zero of going out in that treacherous weather you guys deal with there more so than we deal with here. We get our weather here and there, but you send pictures and I've seen you out there, and I'm like, holy fuck! I said,
icicles in my beer.
oh
But
my god, yeah,
there was a girl. I
yeah,
hope she's doing all right. There was a girl who messaged me when she was a CCA when I first made videos. She was from Alaska and she made a video of her delivering in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, that's crazy. It's always worse somewhere else. I'm like,
right. No,
so
I
I haven't
said,
heard from her
yeah,
since.
I said, but no, you guys, like I said, you and a couple guys that I talked to from your neck of the woods, we hear, I see, I hear. You talk about the streets, just being like, hey, I'm going to the hood to get some food. I got to watch my back,
Right.
So, when I go down to Philly, Philly's separated amongst multiple sections of Philly. So there's the one out there's South Philly where
South
you see the
Philadelphia.
you see the Malocchio and you see the court, you see the Cornicello all over the place. Everybody's got one in South Philly, and then you go to West
You get the
Philly.
WAP pass.
I'm gonna go get the papers. Get the papers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, West Philly, that's where my dad grew up. That's changed a lot, for the worse, essentially. And North Philly, that's where, you really watch your back if you got to go through North. But Philly, I said, it's my home and I love it. And I said, the suburb life and the town I deliver in are just fantastic places, where I don't really have to look over my shoulder too much. But things are turning a little goofy every day now with where we're at currently as a country. So I never try to worry about it too much. I just try to stay in my lane. I try to help people. Like yesterday, I was being walked. I had a walk go kaput with scanner issues the other day, so I went out again. Not yesterday, on Friday. And I pulled into the U-Haul that's on my route, and there was a woman who was trying to balance like 4 boxes and like styrofoam inserts for the boxes, and she was a nice older lady, and she was like doing her best, and she starts dropping the stuff, and so I see that she clearly needs help, and so I'm coming out. I'm empty-handed. I made my delivery. And so my supervisor is sitting in the truck, in the jumper seat, a few feet away from me from the door. And so I said, "Oh, let me help you with that, miss." And I said, where do you want to put these, in your back seat or in you? She's like, "Oh, that would be great." And I said, so I open up her door. So while I'm doing that, I shout out to the supervisor, "Hey, stop the clock. I'm helping a customer move some stuff." And he's like, and he pokes out and he's like, "Oh, okay." And I'm just like, is he really going to stop the clock because I'm helping someone, or is it going to be like, that's a human part of being a mail carrier, of doing the job, to say that I'm not going to watch somebody struggle with something? And she was a complete stranger to me. I didn't know her, and I said, so
But we're part of the community. We're part of the community.
We're part of the community, and management really likes to just eliminate that human element in those ridiculous DOIS projections and that captured undertime. And man, I'm going to say it loud and clear to the management in my area, the upper management of the Philadelphia district and nationwide. Your numbers that you spit out of that computer spits out are nonsense to the umpteenth degree. They do not have anything factored in except the raw mail that we handle, like the DPS and the packages. It doesn't look at traffic stops. It doesn't look at construction. It doesn't look at school buses stopping in school zones. It doesn't look at some idiot cutting you off, and
real life. It's just over.
I said none of that is in there. And I said, and I deal with that every day because I go down a main thoroughfare through busy streets. And I said, something, I can tell that certain routes they're going to more or less look at and say, there's nothing much going on out there. They're just driving along curbside, doing, there's a little bit of a walk here, some cluster boxes. But my route, I said, I don't want, like I said, preferential treatment. I just want to say that this is fair because, and you're the stairmaster, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. You just climb stairs all friggin' day, but your legs never get tired,
Right.
So
yeah, but going back to what you said about helping the customer, this was I was so pissed when I heard this because there's a carrier, we call him Rookie.
Yeah.
There was a car accident and he let the girl in the car accident sit in his truck until the police and stuff arrived. And he got in trouble for that.
And he got in trouble for
Like,
letting her sit in the car. Yeah. Let her sit in the truck.
I'm just like, this is sick. Like,
yeah, put her on the freezing cold curb and not in the truck, dumbass.
Right. He was just being nice. He drove past and he's like, hey, sit here until, the help arrives. And then my manager was cussing him out, apparently. I'm like, what?
That's such
what
a
if that was your family or you?
Yeah. What if it was your sorry ass that got thrown from a car and then you said, oh, what's going to make this person most comfortable? Here, let me get you up on the ledge of my truck. Let me put my arm around you, hold you steady. And it's like, in some situations they tell you, don't move anybody, don't touch anybody. If I'm like, don't, we're going to, that human element is going to kick in. Like they don't seem to have that. People, or if they have it, they lose it when they take that fucking management job. They might be, they might, yeah. No, I mean, excellent observation. And again, we can go on for hours with this, but we're best
for the next episode.
We did good. We got a little over an hour, and like I said, we're going to continue this. So with that being said, appreciate my man Nick as always. He's the greatest. I said we're going to be talking more. We'd like to see people come on, like and subscribe, of course, to Mailman Nick, JH. Who do we leave at? Express Mail. We're showing love to everybody because again, it's a tough climb. Nick just hit 10K. Congratulations on that, brother. Check out Nick's Instagram, Mailman Nick. My Instagram is Chooch Abs.
All the food reviews.
Oh yeah. Now we're gonna save a little time at the end for talking a little food, but I think we definitely we covered some good ground here, and we'll be back for more. Absolutely. So that being said, everybody, enjoy your holiday weekend. If you have off tomorrow, great. If not, enjoy your Tuesday off. And go Birds, bear down.
Bear down.
All right. This is Chooch and Mailman Nick signing off. We'll see you next time. Take it easy.